While overall, 1/3 of our young people drop out of school without graduating. In our urban areas, oftentimes 80% of those young people drop out of school without graduating. And the next systems that they touch are the juvenile justice systems. And in our state, which is probably about mid-level in terms of costs, when a young person is incarcerated as a juvenile, the cost is about $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and according to their own figures, 7 out of 10 recommit within 3 years. And if you look at the loss of human potential and then the loss of the energy of these young people and all that they could contribute, I felt like we could do a better job of serving these young people. So at ISIS, we recruit young people who are known to juvenile court. Generally, when they come to us, they're about 17 years old. Generally, they're reading and doing math at the 6th grade. They come to school for a longer day and a longer year. And instead of returning to school for a GED, they return for a high school diploma. They take and pass all 5 of the state examinations for their high school diplomas. They earn industry credentials. So if they're in construction, for example, then we're using the same curriculum as used by the industry. If they're in healthcare, then they're completing patient care technician certifications, which is a certification in EKG and phlebotomy and as a nurse assistant. And if they're in computers, A+ certification. And then they learn their skills in the context of serving their community. So our construction students, the 34 homes that they built, that's really the second neighborhood that they're building. They build everything green. They're learning to install renewable energy systems. They're a huge asset to the community, and all of them volunteer back in the community. So it's a wonderful tribute to them. We have no metal detectors at ISIS, believe it or not. We have one security person in all the locations that we have. One reviewer writing about the ISIS students described them as the overaged, underachieving, non-attending, court-involved, disciplinary problem dropout youth. This last week, I received a call from a young man who's getting his bachelor's from Carnegie Mellon. Another young man who graduated in June came by to show me his letter. He's been accepted at Wittenberg. He's got a scholarship for $18,000 a year. Just last year, another young man called me. He's a photographer with the newspaper in Charleston, South Carolina. So when they rebuild their lives and create opportunities for themselves, there's nothing that gives me greater joy. Many years ago in a cathedral in Europe, an old man sat at the organ and played. And as he played, there was the saddest expression on his face because, you see, it was to be his last day. Suddenly, a rather brusque young man appeared at the door, hesitated for a moment, walked to the front of the cathedral, extended his hand and said, "Sir, the key." The old man removed the key from his beloved instrument and placed it in the young man's hand. And while the old man walked slowly to the door, the young man began to play. Now, the old man played skillfully and beautifully, but this young man played with sheer genius. You see, this was the introduction to the world to the music of Johann Sebastian Bach. And the old man, now with tears streaming down his cheeks, said, "Suppose, just suppose, I hadn't given the master the key." I hope I've given the masters the key in what we're doing at ISIS. Thank you so much for this wonderful award.